Hello and welcome to InvestorToday.ca. I'm your host, Dave Glover. InvestorToday.ca is brought to you in conjunction with RBL Communications, social media and IR solutions for public companies. For the next few minutes, we'll be answering frequently asked questions when dealing with brokers and investment analysts, specifically pertaining to investment projects. Obviously, there are a great number of questions that need to be answered. First and foremost, obviously, you want to look at management history, past results, if there have been any. You want to look at the management team as well to determine whether or not this is a group of people you feel comfortable with investing your money. Next question, obviously, stock symbol. What is their ticker symbol, whether it be a TSX symbol or on any of the other exchanges? What is the company's market cap? Market capitalization is always an issue, especially when trying to raise money as a small cap company or even as a regular exchange company. How much money does this company have in the bank? And we're talking about hard dollars here, cash in the bank, and this is cash that can be used to pay bills, to pay staff, and there's also flow-through financing. Now, this is money that has to be spent on the exploration project itself, whether that be drilling or trenching or doing any type of infrastructure work on the project. What is the share structure? The issued and outstanding shares. This is often a big issue for investors when they look at a company. You want to make sure that there aren't too many shares outstanding. Obviously, the more shares outstanding, the more often a project has been refinanced, if you will. And so you may think that a large number of shares outstanding means that it's a solid project. That may be the case, but in some instances, it may not be the case. What is the fully diluted shares, including options and warrants? Now, this, of course, affects the pricing as well, and that's something that you can deal with specifically when looking at a particular investment. You can contact the president and CEO of that particular company, and you can find out the answers to these questions very simple. What is the most recent news? And do we have any targets? Are there any drill targets? Are there land acquisition targets? These are future targets. These are going to affect the ability of that company to raise money in the future, and it will also affect the valuation of that particular stock. How are we keeping the news flowing and or updating investors? Now, this is one issue that a lot of people have a problem with, because if a company is, say, closed down for the winter, they can't drill in the winter, they can't really acquire too much property in the winter, oftentimes there'll be a period that no news will be released. And that often will cause some concern or some angst among the existing investors, and it quite often will make it difficult for them to attract new investors. What type of financing is required or desired? Actually, is probably a better way of looking at it. When companies are out trying to raise money, there are a few avenues, obviously, for doing so. You can do a brokered financing. You can do an institutional financing, which is a financing that involves major banks. But more often than not, a company would be very happy to get involved in what's called a private placement. And a private placement involves money that's been raised by private individuals. Either as an individual, you want to donate a large sum of money, or if you can get a group of individuals together and go in on a private placement, that is oftentimes more desired by a company that's looking to raise funds, simply because they don't have to worry about the sporadic nature of brokered finance or an institutional financing. Oftentimes when you're dealing with an institutional financing, there comes a time within the year or 2 years of their investment that they may desire to do something called flipping the book, and that requires them to unload, in a lot of cases, a great many shares, which will adversely affect the price of the project. When looking at projects specifically, you want to evaluate the accessibility of that project. What type of infrastructure is in place? Are there roads to the project? Are there rail hubs and rail links close by to get product directly to market, as it were? Does the owner of the project, do they have the water rights for that specific area? And are those water rights secured? And obviously you want to look at transportation links and accessibility of a project. There's really no point in looking at a project, especially as an investor, that is out in the middle of nowhere. You can look at areas in Canada, for instance. If you look at the White Gold District of the Yukon, there are a number of projects up there, a number of large projects up there, but accessibility may be an issue for those projects. Also, because of higher elevation, there may be a limited amount of time in which that project can be worked. So these are all things that an investor is going to have to think about when you're looking to invest your hard-earned dollars. So again, just to go through it real quickly, management history, what is a ticker symbol? What is the market cap? How much money does the company currently have, either in hard dollars or in flow-through dollars? What's the share structure issued and outstanding? What's the fully diluted share structure, including options and warrants? Schedule with pricing of options and warrants. That's often an issue that comes into play. What's the most recent news? And do you have any targets for the upcoming season? Specific targets, drill targets, land acquisition targets. And how are you keeping the news flowing or keeping investors up to date with what's going on with the company? But the three most important issues that I really think an investor has to look at is financing. What type of financing is required? What kind of financing is desired? How accessible is the project or the property on which the project is located? And lastly, of course, infrastructure. Those are all extremely important issues. Those are questions you're going to want to ask your broker or your investment advisor when it comes to looking to place your money. We're talking about money that, in often cases, is going to be used down the road for retirement purposes or to sustain a specific lifestyle. Again, these are suggestions. Now, a number of times you're thinking to yourself, well, I may want to invest in a property or a project because I think it's just that good. And, oftentimes it's okay to go with your gut. But if you can get these questions answered, these frequently asked questions, and get your background work completed, it's all about doing your due diligence. And only through that can you ensure that your investment dollars are safe, not just for the present, but for the long term. I'm Dave Glover. This has been InvestorToday.ca. Thank you for joining me.